Wow. I was completely blindsided tonight. I'm like in shock. You know what? Fifth place is not bad. Considering that I've literally only watched one season of Survivor right before starting this game. I've never played any of these games before. Like, this was a completely new experience, and I'm so thankful for it because, like I got to meet like this really cool community of people that I like kind of vibe with. Like, yeah, I talked some shit about some of these people, but like in real life, when they're not in this game mode, they're like pretty cool. As I've come to learn when I got voted into the jury. But yeah, no, I was completely blindsided by tonight. I really want to know why they were gunning for me. Was I that much of a threat? Like, what was the reasoning? And so I'm really excited to find out what that was. But honestly, I'm honored that they voted me out. Like, I think that was probably a good game plan because I had this amazing speech planned out for if I were to make it to the end. Which I really did believe that I had a good shot of winning, either with my alliance with Mike and Danielle or with Mike and David. And I was leaning more towards Mike and David because I trusted David more. And oh man, I should have seen this coming because as soon as our alliance of four with Danielle, Mike, and Olivia and I was destroyed, like I should have known I was next. But wow, they really got me good. Like, I am so impressed. So yeah, no hard feelings. Like, this was a great experience. I'm surprised I even made it this far because I honestly felt like I was gonna go home several times, leading up to this point. But man, I can't believe it. So let's break down what happened tonight. So tonight was a double challenge, double crossroads, and that I had no idea. I thought the supplies that we had to get were just like to throw us off because it's happened before. Like they put stuff, extra stuff in the supply list, and then we never use it. So yeah, did not see that coming at all. Yeah, so the first challenge was like essentially holding a broomstick against a soda can that was on a chair. And honestly, I didn't have the heart to compete for it. And I thought my computer, or actually Discord, was crashing. So when I went to look behind me, that's when all hell broke loose. That's when I met my maker. But, I believed in my alliance enough that I wasn't going to get eliminated that round. And it worked out in my favor in that round. And then, man, like, I can't believe it. The next challenge, I was pretty close. Well, by pretty close, meaning I would have come in second place. But I just couldn't pick up the last couple ice cubes from the ground because they were so melted and so slippery. So I'm glad that David won that round. I don't think he voted for me because I felt like we had trust in each other. But man, I was completely blindsided. I had no idea there was still a compass in play, that someone still had one. And man, did Danielle use it at a great time. I'm really shocked that was even an option, because when Docs asked for any advantages to be played, the only one I expected was like safety without power. And so yeah, I was completely blindsided by the compass. And, you know, there were moments before this challenge that I was like, I suspected Danielle to have one. But I thought since Mariana played it, that was it. That was the one compass that was left in the game. And clearly I was wrong. And, man, did she use that well. But, man, Mike is great at two-timing. I'll say that. I really believed him. I really was like so about Team Mike. And you know what? I respect it. Like, I trusted his, I trusted him. I trusted the moves that he was making. But I should have seen it coming that when Olivia got it voted off, that I would be next. Wow. Now I'm starting to think like, man, I should have just won that challenge, but oh well. I guess they did see me as a threat, but for the record, my speech would have been amazing had I made it to the final ascent, you know, because this whole time, if you look at my track record, I've been a great competitor in terms of the challenges. Even before Rendezvous, like I did, you know, like keep my team afloat a lot of the time. Or at least when it counted. And then like in terms of post Rendezvous, like my jury management was legit. Because every time someone was voted out, like I voted not for that person in order to like, you know, have a better, I guess, relationship with them. You know, I strategically did not vote for the person that was being voted out. So that way they wouldn't have any like, or harbor any ill will against me, right? The only time I voted with the majority was with Katie, Carl, and Joshua. And it just made sense. But man, I thought I would beat Mariana out. I'm surprised. I really am. But, you know, she's still in the game, and I think they're keeping her in because there's no way that she'll win against either Danielle, Mike, or David because she hasn't really built up a good resume. So yeah, she's been scrambling this entire time. Unless she's like some crazy con artist. Like, I feel like so far, Mike has played the better game. And, oh man, is he good at it. Wow. Honestly, I'm glad that I'm out because now I can like not live with such anxiety because literally all I would talk about at work is this game and strategize with my coworkers who I'm sure were fed up with my incessant talking about strategy. But yeah, going into this was insane. You know, like I said before, I only had watched one season of Survivor. I really didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know people were getting compasses until they started being played post Rendezvous. And so I was pretty much in the dark with what I was getting myself into. And, you know, like coming into this game, you know, clearly I was an odd man out. Like, just based on my appearance, right? And then, like, I didn't feel like I could relate to anyone really that well. And so I felt like from the beginning, from day one, like I was just gonna be out. Like I just didn't feel like I fit in. And you know, as the days kept going and I was still in the game, like I started to really grow my appreciation and my love for what this community is and the game. I really love how it's such a social game and it really depends on who you can trust. And you know, yes, I am gullible and maybe I am too trusting, but That's just my nature, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Oh my God. I literally cannot get over it. But at least I can sleep at a reasonable hour now. Man, filming these things was pretty insane. But, you know, I'm proud of the game I played. I played it with as much honesty and integrity as I could. And that's all I can say about that. It's been real.
Hey everyone, so I somehow got exemption. I was competing in the challenge that I had last minute got ready for. I was not feeling confident at all. I didn't get time to practice, which is maybe what helped me win because everybody else might have been tired. I don't really know. All I remember hearing is Doc saying that Danielle won when I had just dropped and I thought I was done. I needed this exemption so badly. I really think Josh was going to try to target me to get me out of the game this round. So it was detrimental that I got exemption. Otherwise, I would have had to use my compass, and that is not something I wanted to do. I really wanted to save my compass till the last round when I really felt that I was probably going to need it then for myself or Mariana. I was willing to use my compass on me or Mariana at any point. So I didn't have to use it. Neither of us ended up being the vote once again. We got a push to Josh, and Josh left the game. Love Josh. Loved you, Josh. But Josh is a huge threat. Josh had to go. I voted for him 2 rounds in a row, lied about one, told him the truth about the other. And when I told him the truth, it didn't really go over that well. I'm glad I went the route I did because if I would have voted Mike, I would have definitely lost that trust. And I think in the revote, Bambi would have voted Mike. So that wouldn't have went well. Or sorry, Bambi would have voted out Olivia, not Mike. So that wouldn't have went well for me. So all in all, I think my game is going the way it needs to. Things are still looking good. I'm feeling really confident. As long as me and Mariana are still here together, that is amazing. I love that girl. I really want to go final 2 with her. People are really downplaying her game as well. Of course, I think I'll beat her if I go to the end. But for me, it's not even about beating her. It's because I've wanted to go to the end with her since the beginning of the game. Just due to the fact I've known her before the game, which is super exciting. That this round of my Expedition Online experience has went a different route from, you know, the Jon Snow drama of my last experience to the love of this round with Mariana. So I'm really happy with everything so far. And yeah, so that's where I'm at after this elimination and after deserting Josh. So I'll leave it at that. We then went into our next competition where I did not win. I tried really hard, but my legs are just really super weak. I am in a lot of pain still from having my baby not too long ago, and I need more time to get into better shape to be doing things like lifting my legs with cups and such. So I could not win stacking this pyramid, although I really wanted to. Really wanted Mariana to win, and she didn't either. David won, which was probably one of the best case scenarios for me, because, well, other than myself and Mariana, obviously, because I felt like David would probably stick with us. Coming down the line of things, I don't think David was planning on sticking with us. I did get David into the room the last 7 minutes, I think, about before we were going to Crossroads. I did this intentionally and kept him in the room, kind of diverted the conversation back to him and Katie to make the conversation last, to ensure that he wouldn't leave the room. This was all strategic play on my part. I needed David to stay with me, and I had to tell him about my compass to ensure that he would vote with us, as I was pretty sure Mike and Bambi were going to be voting me. If I needed to use my compass on Mariana, I definitely would have, but I'm not stupid. I knew they were going to flip and try to get me out of this game. I'm a bigger threat than Mariana. There's no doubt about it. So I told David. David told me he was voting with us to vote out Bambi. It worked out perfectly because David wanted Bambi instead of Mike, even though I still questioned him on that, which is what I also wanted. Going to the end, Bambi choosing to take me was highly unlikely. She is more of a smart player as to where Mike would probably think and he would potentially take me, or so he says he would. Do I think he really will? Well, I guess we'll have to tell. That'll only come in due time when we find out what happens in the next round. That being said, we voted Bambi. I used my compass on myself, and obviously Bambi went home. Me and Mariana had a little thing where we flicked the pen if we should use the compass, which she was doing, but I already knew I was using the compass no matter what. It was the last round to use the compass, and I had just told her about it also. I was never going to tell anybody about my compass until the final 5 round. Unless I would never tell someone about my compass unless I was planning on using it, and I was working with them or wanting, like, there was some strategy in that. I think telling anybody about a compass ahead of time is definitely not good for anyone's game, and I do not suggest anybody tell anybody unless you truly, truly trust them, and it is so hard to trust anyone in a game. That being said, I told Mariana. She also didn't tell me about hers, and there was no hard feelings because I was pretty confident I knew she had it anyways, but she didn't need to tell me. I knew she'd use it to save herself or me at some point if it needed to be, and so there really didn't need to be discussion about the compass of hers or mine, in my opinion. So Bambi went home, and now we're down to final 4. Had Mike and David fighting over the whole situation. I really hope if one of them win the last exemption challenge that they take me and Mariana to final 3. That is our best shot to go final 2 if there is a final 2. Otherwise, final 3, me or Mariana have to have it in the bag. There's no doubt about it. Once everybody finds out we know each other, like, it's going to be huge. I'm having an absolute blast. I am so stoked to be in Final 4, and I cannot wait to see what happens on Sunday. Let's go, baby!
That was the most strategically dominant day in Expedition Online history, ladies and gentlemen. I've done it. I've taken control of the game. At the time, I needed to take control of it. If you take control of the game too early, people catch on, and they're not going to let you get too much further. I had to take control in certain votes earlier in the game, but overall, I tried to let other people be the bigger targets until it was too late for them to do anything about it. So, the past 4 votes have gone exactly the way I wanted them to go before the day even began. I often tell in these confessionals who is my next target, and the past four, starting at Carl, starting after I was blindsided and Haley went home, and I was on the wrong side of the votes with Bambi. Me and Bambi, last people left in the game that were on the wrong side of the votes on that vote. And ever since the Haley vote, I have not only been on the right side of the numbers, but my target, the person I wanted, I was able to direct and make sure that they went home. So I'm feeling pretty elated. I think if I'm able to get to the final 3 or the final 2, I definitely think I have the best shot to win. I have the best case to win, and I'm ready to fight for it. I'm ready to tell everyone the moves I made that they're not aware of. Because I think certain people like Carl, maybe even Josh, Olivia, underestimated me and did not think I was a driving force in this game. But since they weren't really aligned with me strongly, they didn't really know what I was doing all the time. And that's kind of the way it needed to be to keep my target low enough where I could get this deep. So I'm really excited to hopefully be able to plead my case. But I'm getting ahead of myself, all right? I'm not guaranteed to get there. I'm putting the cart before the horse. Let's talk about today. Let's talk about what actually happened. So, The day starts with like a really random list of goods for us to get. A broom, a chair, some tape, ice, cups. At this point, Expedition Online really keeps us on our toes, and I don't even try and guess what the challenge is going to be, because my theories are always usually wrong, and the challenges are almost always things I haven't seen before. So, I don't spend my energy on that. But today's challenge initially was to use a broom and to have an empty can and using the broom to balance the can on top of a chair and to slowly walk back, starting at 3 feet to 4 feet to 5 feet to 6 feet, and then we'd have to stand on one foot. They thought it was going to be this really long endurance challenge. I know I'm not great at balance. That's not a forte of mine, and we've had several balance challenges where I've proven that, where it's just not my strength. So I knew this probably wasn't one of mine, but I was going to give it my all. Doc said that he's seen this challenge go pretty long and thought it was going to be a long night, a long challenge. But we proved that we collectively suck at those types of challenges. So by the very first transition, by the end of the very first transition, we had all fallen except for Danielle. So Danielle, after about 5 minutes, won the exemption challenge, which is good because I wanted to work with Danielle deep, and I had put myself into this position where I was in 2 3-person alliances, and the only person not in one of these 3-person alliances with me should actually be one finger, because I'm both of these fingers. The only person I wasn't in an alliance with was Josh. So I had to get to work getting rid of Josh, because I didn't know what his agenda was, but I knew I probably wasn't part of it going deep. Josh didn't really have a whole lot of trust in me, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't have trusted me. I voted with him once on a mutually beneficial vote for Olivia. Actually, I don't know why that benefited him, but he had his reasons. But he knows the game really well, and I always think he had a plan I wasn't aware of. And I didn't have a great pulse on who he was close to. I just knew he and I weren't super close. I like him a lot personally, but cats are causing some noise. So I knew my mountain to climb today was convincing either Mike or Bambi or both to vote for Josh, because we had talked before about sticking together as a 4, but that would mean one of my 2-person alliance, being Danielle or Mariana, would go, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be in the middle for the next vote, where I would basically be safe, because I was the swing vote. I'd be literally the swing vote between 2 alliances I'd been part of since for a long time, for a long portion of this game. So I talked to Bambi first. Bambi was like, oh, this should be a pretty easy vote. Mariana, right? And I was like, yeah, it could be an easy vote, but who's the biggest threat to our alliance? Is it Mariana? She's like, well, probably not. It'd probably be Josh. I was like, yeah, it's Josh. So I convinced Bambi after a short conversation that Josh was the biggest threat to our 3-person alliance, and that he needed to be the next target. And I needed to convince Mike of this too, because Mike had half of a compass, and Josh has another half of a compass. So if Mike wanted to, he could use this compass to protect Josh and take out who he wanted, which could be me, So I needed to get Mike's permission. I needed to convince him that this was the right move. And if I couldn't convince him, I was going to vote for Mariana probably, because I couldn't risk it. I could not risk him playing the compass and having a single vote or 2 votes send me home at the final 6. So I made the hard pitch, and it made sense to him. It made sense to him that Josh was the biggest threat to our final 3, and that he was probably the best at challenges potentially remaining, even though sometimes he doesn't have supplies. He's very good, and he's also the only person that we knew did not have a Destiny token. Your boy also doesn't have a Destiny token, but no one knows that yet. Jury, you might be piecing it together, but other players haven't. So it was kind of the lowest risk vote. There was a lot of really good reasons for it to being Josh, besides just the fact that that's who I wanted it to be. So, yeah, I was able to get Mike on board, and we were able to blindside Josh pretty good. Maybe he saw it coming a bit, but I think he thought it was Mariana. He certainly voted for Mariana, and we got him. We got him. And then it put myself in the ideal position in the middle of 2 3-person alliances where I am the swing vote. And even if I didn't win, I felt pretty secure that I had more trust in those groups than they had with each other. So this is what I've been working for. This is what I've been working for the past 4 eliminations. Carl, not working with me, told some lies to me. Olivia, closer to other people, in the middle of a lot of things. Someone that's close to Mike, close to other allies that could be closer to me than them. Gone. With the Destiny token, with all that paranoia of where the Mike vote was. That really was the driving force that took her out. Awesome. And then Josh, only person I'm not working with remaining. He's got to go. Done. Accomplished. Now the next step, and I might be pissed at Expedition Online and all you mods if I don't plan a couple steps ahead. And fortunately, I had thought a couple steps ahead and how I would want to handle the next vote. Because because we were also shitty at the first challenge, they gave us only half an hour to deliberate, and then after that, we went into another exemption challenge. And that's what the cups and the ice were for. And this one was, stacking cups into a tower, and then we had to put 5 ice cubes on each little intersection of cups. So 2 on the bottom levels on the sides, 2 on the middle levels on the sides, and 1 on the top. And ordinarily this is not something that is in my wheelhouse, but I use the prep time to really try and figure out how can I best get these cups out of the stack. How can I manipulate ice with my toes? I just tried a couple different things to just try and figure out a decent strategy going in, and figuring out how to grab the ice was actually the hardest part. But when the challenge started, I was actually really slow getting the cups out. That was actually not going great. But I was able to build my tower. I think I built my tower first, and then I did pretty well on the ice. I actually dropped 1 ice cube behind the stack, the very final ice cube, and that I was like, oh, if this is the reason I lose, I'm gonna be so pissed. But I was able to recover, and I was able to win. Exemption, my second exemption of the season, so that puts me at the most exemptions. I think I have the biggest resume of anyone. Not only have I been the strategic driving force, but no one can say they've won multiple exemptions this season. So, love it. And then when it comes to scenarios, when it comes to what makes sense to me, I had these final 3s, but it's not about the current vote. It's always about the next vote. It's about what position does this put me in the future? And it's this forward thinking that makes me very good at this game, because I'm pretty good at anticipating what other people are going to do based on who leaves. So the obvious choice was probably Mike. I think Mike might be my biggest competition at the final ascent. But I think there was a very good chance of, if I went for Mike, the other 3 girls, if I lost the next challenge, would unite against me to get me. I think Mariana probably would have tried for that. And it would have been my job to try and convince Bambi and Danielle to save me. And, it's a high risk situation. Everything's high risk, but I got to mitigate risk the best I can. So I felt like I needed to keep Mike as a shield in a way, because since Mike has a great shot at winning, and people know that because he and Mariana have never gotten along and have always been adversarial, I thought keeping Mike is going to make him a big target that I think I can unite my day zero alliance that I made with Mariana and Danielle. So if I had gotten rid of either Danielle or Mariana, I was becoming worried that Bambi and Mike were getting closer to each other and might be wanting to take each other in. I think Bambi was closer to Mike, and I think she would have taken him to the end if it's a final two. And I think Mike feels like he can beat Bambi, and he would take her to the final two too over me. So I felt at the bottom of that three-person alliance, and I wasn't comfortable with that. So I think because of that, Bambi is really what made sense. Because if I get rid of Bambi, like, I secure the three-person alliance with my day zero girls, and I kind of put Mike out on this island where I put him in a must-win situation where he's got to win or else we're going to get him, I think. Things don't, if it doesn't go to plan, it doesn't go to plan, but I think that's the way it would go. So Bambi had to be the vote. And I had thought about that over the past few days, and I didn't know what advantages were still in play. I got a surprise that Danielle has a full compass, and she got that at the Serrated Peak, so I didn't know that. That's great. But I don't know why. I actually thought she was lying to me when she told me she had the compass, because she was so nervous. I was like, why are you so nervous if you have a compass, and it's the last time you can play the compass? Why are you so nervous? I thought it was a ploy just to make sure I didn't vote for her, and I wasn't going to vote for her anyhow. But I was able to talk to Danielle and Mariana and convince them that Bambi was the vote, even though I don't think that was what was the best decision for them. I convinced them to do the best decision for me, and that's the core of this game. Convincing people to do things that aren't in their own best interest. And I think I've done that very well. So I put myself in the best position where I hope, as long as Mike loses, the three of us can stick together. If Mike wins, I think I have a decent shot at staying two. I formed a final two with Danielle today, and I mean it. I really do. And I think she might be sincere about it. And, she's my hope if Mike wins. I have to count on Danielle to vote with me against Mariana. I have to. And I don't want to leave it up to fate, though. I got to win the next challenge. If I win the next challenge, and if it's a final three, I think I got it. I think you're looking at the next winner of Expedition Online, Season 3, Glacier Bay. It's your boy, David Jackson. I love my position in the game, and I will proudly fight for my charity and defend my game and educate a lot of people that may not know all the things I've done to get exactly where I am. And I really hope I get that opportunity. I thought I was a little cooked earlier in the game, and if I'd gone at that point, it would have been disappointing, but it's like, at least I made jury, at least I'll have a point in this. But if I get this close and don't get to at least even plead my case, that'll hurt, that'll sting. There's no getting around it, but someone's got to be in that position. I think I've certainly really jumped ahead in a lot of perceptions in terms of what I'm capable of and my control of this game. And if they're smart, they'd get rid of me. They should get rid of me. But my last and final task to have the chance is to convince them to do something they shouldn't do.
So we just had exemption, and Danielle wins. One of the worst case scenarios that I think could have happened. But I'm not too mad about it because we know Mariana doesn't have a compass anymore, so that's kind of relieving. And I don't think there's really any other compasses in the game other than Mike and I's halves, which is very relieving for us and for me. My name has been kind of thrown out a lot, and with Danielle having a little bit of power in having exemption and being free to kind of say whatever she wants, I know she's been after me for a few rounds at this point, and I don't think it's going to stop there. My best bet is to try to make sure that Mariana's the one to go, and I think I'm going to do a good job of that. I think I've been doing a good job of that, and I really just feel like I can trust Mike and Dave at this point, and I'm hoping that that rings true, and I hope they see that I'm with them, and I'm going to take them to the end no matter what. And I don't know, I guess we'll have to see. There's nothing really left at this point than to hope that the people I say I'm with are with me. I'm really trying to play Mariana and Danielle right now. I'm really trying to get them to vote for Bambi, maybe. Doesn't matter. I don't care who they vote for. They just can't play their Destiny token, because if they do, I think Danielle might vote for me, because Danielle is not a very good liar. She has been not so subtle about pretty much voting for me. She doesn't care. She's not trying. And from my talks with Mariana, I feel like she may be siding with Danielle. Mariana has been trying to tell me that it's me, and I don't really buy it. I don't think that that would make sense for Mike, really, because I feel like if I go out now, Mike could go out next, and if not next, at Final Four. Mike really needs me to stick around so that he has a good shot, or at least a shot at all, I honestly think. But I guess we'll find out eventually. It's a fun position. I'm excited because I don't think I'm going home. I don't think it's gonna happen. So I'm excited for the prospect. I'm excited for Crossroads, and I think it'll go my way once again, as always, of course. Yeah. So that's all I got. They done did it. They voted me out of this game. And what can I say? I've had an absolute blast, but you know, there's something a little bit empty in me now. I was definitely playing for my mom, definitely playing for charity, and playing for the overall fun of the game, but at the end of the day, I can't complain. I played a really good game, and I'm excited to see what the jury has to say to me and find out where I really was, you know, placed in their eyes in the game. And I really hope that the people that I have screwed over can understand what I had to do and can accept that I was playing the game. And that's all I really can ask at this point. Thank you again, Expedition Online folks, and for everybody watching. It's been an absolute blast. If you ever get a chance to play it, don't ever decline it. This is the most fun I've had playing the game in a very long time.
Hi everyone, it's Mariana with my day 13 update. Oh my gosh, guys. First off, I am surprised to learn that I was able to save myself from the final 6 to final 4 is the first thing I'm gonna say. Honestly, from 6 to 5, I was in the worst mood. I already knew that people were gonna target me because of the compass, and I just felt like the whole game was against me at that point. And then also from 5 to 4, I was also surprised too that I somehow was able to stay. I think what happened was I think I aligned myself the best with an alliance with David and I and Danielle. So Mike and Bambi were eventually outnumbered. So yeah, but yeah, I'll get to it. So we had 2 challenges tonight. The first one was where we had to balance a can on what is it called, a chair. Unfortunately, my chair wasn't that, stable. And then I ended up, when I was practicing, I learned that a soup can with like a bigger base was better than like a flimsy like 7-Up can. So like I had no idea that I was going to be able to like even last to the 5-minute mark. My practice rounds were so bad, but luckily I was able to kind of almost make it through the transition phase. Unfortunately, I fell. I couldn't beat it. And what sucks is like I wish I waited to transition the last 10 seconds because everyone else couldn't make it through the transition. So if I just waited like 10 more seconds, I probably could have won, because Danielle won. She just default won by being the last person to drop during the transition phase. I'm glad she won. Yeah, but that made me feel like, okay, now I'm more in danger. Because at that point it could have been me, Bambi, or potentially like David, or Josh. So when we got back to Crossroads, it was kind of intense. Like I was already in a bad mood because everyone knew that I had the compass the round before. So I'm like, okay, they flushed my compass, now they want to get me out. So like when I was talking to like Danielle and Josh, we're like, okay, let's get out Bambi. And that was the first plan. I'm like, okay, anything but my name, because Danielle told me like, yeah, they're saying my name, like Mike and Bambi. And I just felt kind of blindsided by that coming through from Bambi, because we are the only 2 Kelly people left. So I generally thought me and her was able to work to the end, but like she just showed me, and even during the Crossroads questions, she's like, yeah, no, Kelly, the teams don't matter at this time, it's really individual. And that kind of confirmed that she didn't want anything to do with me. Like she could have cut me at any time. So I was really hurt by that, to be honest. And like even when we were like at the Crossroads, like let's say when everyone else was in the rooms and I was stuck with like Bambi and Mike, they were like, oh, Mariana, like what are you thinking? Actually, I didn't really talk to Mike that round, to be honest. So like Bambi was just being so fake to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm hearing my name, So like, and she just wasn't straight up with me. I'm like, you're the one that's saying my name with Mike, like why won't you just own up to it? Like, so I was being kind of passive to her. I'm like, I'm hearing my name, and I know who it's coming from. Yeah. So then the script flipped, and then all of a sudden I heard Josh's name. So like Josh's plan with me was to vote for Bambi. Like I was so 100% to vote for Bambi. Should we had the numbers with like David and Danielle? Like we were expecting it to be me, Josh, David, and Danielle. But then Danielle was pushing Josh's name instead. And I'm like, I didn't want to do it, but I would have. But at the same time, I felt unsafe because like, what if people are gonna? I was like really paranoid. I'm like thinking like, what if people are like lying to me and they really want me out? So Danielle's like, okay, let's just play the token. So I played my token. Unfortunately, I lost my vote, and I did tell Josh ahead of time like, hey, I'm gonna use my vote because I am hearing my name, but I'm also hearing your name as being a potential vote. So he kind of felt bad, but I feel like I at least gave him a good warning. And I feel like that's one thing I'm doing good in this game is like I'm kind of being being honest to like the jury or the people that have entered the jury. Like I think I have a really good jury management so far. Like for example, like Philip, I didn't vote for Philip that round because I just he was one of my best friends, and Kelly, Carl, I gave him a heads up that people were targeting him, so I just had to target him to, show allegiance to some people on Janet. Katie was unanimous. Not much really jury management there, but Olivia, I didn't vote for Olivia. I voted for Mike at the time. And then Josh, yeah, I used my token and I didn't have to get blood on my hands to vote him out. So I think I'm doing pretty good with that. All right, so then, yeah, so ultimately Josh went home and I was so sad like that we couldn't save him. But then I was also like kind of nervous about David and Danielle in a weird way. I'm like, okay, technically David flipped to vote out Olivia. And I was so nervous. I'm like, okay, like what if David is really with like Olivia and Bambi? And that was like mine and Danielle's concern. Like what if he is not on our side at all? So that made me nervous and coming into this next round. And again, I'm thankful that I made it this far. I'm glad I made it to final 5, which is like my new game record, or not my new, it's my like my threshold that I've always gotten to. Because I was so down I was down the first round from 6 to 5. I really thought I was gonna go. So then I felt more happy when I found out that I was still in it. So then we got announced that our other challenge would start tonight. And yeah, I was not expecting it. I'm like, okay, it's an early day. We can just go to sleep now, you know. And then we had the Ice Glacier Cliff Challenge thing. I don't even know. So I did very bad. Like, I just physically couldn't do it. I wasn't throwing it. I just couldn't do it. And David won, which not bad for like the alliance with me, Danielle, and David. But not, it just, again, risks my name being out there. And it was out there, of course. And that was the round where I got even more mad at Bambi and Mike. They were just like avoiding me at all costs. They were asking me, like, they were trying to weasel information out of me when I knew from other people that they were saying my name. So I had no respect for that. And then, yeah, ultimately, it was a crazy round. So like when David and Danielle were like in the room together, it was Bambi, Mike, and I at base camp, because there were only 2 rooms, like a 3 chat and then a 2 chat. So pretty much like they're like, oh, what do you think about Danielle? Like, so pretty much they were like wanting me to like make my plea to them, like why they shouldn't vote for me. And yeah, so pretty much I had to say Danielle's name. I mean, I didn't mean to, like, I just, you know, had to go with the flow to think that we could potentially target Danielle, because they wanted me to vote with them to get Danielle out. And I was not for that, because I know they're saying my name. So I'm like thinking, like, what are they saying in the room with Danielle and David? But yeah, so I saw Bambi being so fake, and I'm like, yeah, David and Danielle said Bambi. I'm like, sure, let's do it. So I gave Danielle also like a signal that everyone was saying her name besides David. I don't think David was saying her name. So I like showed like my red pen. I'm like, Danielle, use your compass, because she told me. So when I jumped into a room with Danielle during this crossroads, she told me that she does have the compass. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Play it on yourself, and yeah, save yourself, because I am hearing your name. Or I mean, I showed with the signal that people are saying her name. But yeah, so the vote was crazy. So pretty much Danielle did have some votes. And then we ultimately got Bambi out, but I don't think they revealed my vote. There was one vote that wasn't revealed, so I'm hoping Bambi doesn't think that I voted for her, but I did, but whatever. So yeah, it's so sad to see Bambi go, but I mean, she made it clear that she doesn't care about me as a Team Kelly person, so I'm like, whatever, doesn't hurt me. Sorry, Kelly. I'm like, so sorry. I just felt bad for Kelly Wentworth. I'm like, I got rid of my own teammates, so here's like I'm like the last person from Team Kelly, which is like a lot of pressure. Like now I feel like I'm kind of carrying Team Kelly right now, which is kind of scary. But yeah, when we got back to the camp, it was crazy. Mike and David got into like a pretty interesting fight, and Danielle and I were just like in the room just like laughing. We're like, they have no idea that, you know, we know each other. Like they're pretty much going after each other. So I'm like, okay, let them go against each other. Yeah, because I think Mike was surprised about David voting for Bambi. I think that's what happened. So yeah. And I'm like, yeah, Danielle, let's not butt into it. Like, let them fight, and you, me, and David can make it to final 3. Should Mike not win the next challenge? Because I'm thinking, as long as Mike doesn't win, we are good. But if he wins, then honestly, then me and Danielle will have to, you know, fight against each other. But I feel like people are seeing Danielle as a bigger threat because she did play this game before, and people are seeing me as like this weak blonde. But like, wait till I like plead my case. Like I did do a good job with my party the first few challenges. Like I think I carried my team a lot. I voted out people on my own party, and yeah, so I think I did a really good job overall. I just have to explain to the jury why I would deserve to win should I make it to final 3. But yeah, and me and Danielle played that we didn't know each other the entire game, so it worked out. But yeah, this is gonna be this next round is gonna be interesting, and I'm just thankful to have made it this far, especially me being against the world in this game, with me being the only Callie, or pretty much one of the only Callies in the game since like the 7th round or whatever. So, well, hopefully you guys are cheering me on, and let's do this.
Okay, so this episode was a bit more complicated than it probably needed to be, but it is what it is. So first and foremost, we do a challenge called, I think it's called Black Cliff, I think. We had to hold a can on the edge of a chair with a broom, and keep it there. And at different intervals, we had to move farther back from the chair. And they were live transitions, so we couldn't let the can down at any point. I thought I was going to do okay in the challenge. And then right before the first transition, my roommate came home and just stood there and stared at me. It's probably on the video, but he just stood there and he's on the phone. And it was just this awkward moment of just like, stop staring at me. Like, so he's just standing there like, oh, like he didn't know what to do. So he finally leaves. But during the transition, I was so like out of the scheme of what was going on. The can kind of slipped and fell off apparently seconds before everybody else kind of fell. And then Danielle ended up winning the challenge. So I was really excited for her. It was really great to kind of have her win, because it gave me an easy, like, Mariana, like, let's do it. Let's finally vote her out. Right. So I immediately go to Josh, Mariana's the vote, 100%. Let's just take her out. And then I talked to David and Bambi, and they want to vote off Josh. I have zero agency in this game. I really thought I did. I really, really feel like I made some big moves in this game, but I think I've just been a patsy. I think that as good as strategy as I'm putting together, and like I'm creating charts and graphs of like who's connected to who and who's where, and I just keep thinking like, why do I feel like I'm in this position where I continue to turn on the people that I'm aligned with for the benefit of others? So I sit through that, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here. So Mariana potentially is going to use her oh my gosh, I know what it's called. I'm blanking on it. Her Destiny's token. So Mariana's going to use her Destiny's token, and that's the only thing I can think about. So if Mariana uses her Destiny's token, and everybody's voting for Josh, and Josh votes for Mariana, and I give Josh my half compass, and Josh plays the full compass, saves himself, and then Mariana, through this token, ends up saving herself, all votes get canceled. And then at the end of the day, David, Bambi, and me are the only people that can be chosen. So we have to then turn on each other. I don't know what Danielle does. I know what Mariana does. Mariana can't vote at that point. So it leaves it, there's still 5 people voting. Danielle and Josh, I don't think, vote for me. Bambi potentially votes for David. David votes for Bambi, but I have to then choose between the two. If I give my half compass to Josh, I lose Bambi or David. Potentially David. I think David ends up being the vote. So in order to protect David, I cannot play the half compass on Josh. So I'm torn, because it's a big move. If I give Josh my half compass, I potentially turn the whole tide of the game. Mariana either goes home or saves herself with the Destiny's token, and then either Bambi or David go home, basically giving The only dilemma with that is that I've lost the trust of David, Bambi, and Danielle. And Mariana could care less about me. So by saving Josh, yes, I keep Josh in final 5, but potentially now I have 3 people left in the game who are going to come after Josh and me anyway. Potentially Josh first, hopefully. So I could save Josh, potentially get myself to the final 4 with Danielle, Mariana, myself, and either David or Bambi. Not the worst case scenario, but the fear of them turning on me because I saved Josh is just really, really scary. So I have to vote for Josh. So there's really no option that plays out where I move into the final 4 in a good position. So then I vote for Josh. The votes come up. Josh doesn't ask for the half compass, which I was kind of nervous about. I really thought he would ask for it at that moment, just for safekeeping kind of thing, right? Never asked for it all around. And I feel terrible because I knew he was going and I could have just given it to him, but I didn't. So like at the end of the day, that's also a game move, right? Like I chose not to save him because in any permeation, I end up kind of on the outside of the numbers. So it just doesn't make sense to me at all. So I voted for Josh. Mariana does play her Destiny's token. It doesn't work. And the vote comes out 4 for Josh, 1 for Mariana. So unfortunately, Josh ends up going. I know he's going to the jury, and Carl and him are just tearing me down. If I get voted off, this jury is gonna hate me. Nobody's gonna want to talk to me in the jury. Nobody's gonna care anything about me. So it's really disheartening because I feel like I put my game on the line. And you know, I think I'm pretty much playing for David and Bambi. Both of them are going to get votes over me 100% at this point. Just the way that Josh thing kind of played out, I think. I hope that Josh and Olivia see my moves as like what they were and like how putting them, like getting them out of the game was like super beneficial to my game. So we'll see. So I'm going to just play like, hey, I was playing the game hard. So that's that. Josh goes home. We are then told that there is another challenge. So we have to set up cups and blocks of ice, and we have to build a pyramid of cups with our feet, our bare feet, and then get the ice cubes on the 5 corners of the pyramid. I start off really strong. It's actually probably the challenge I've done the best in so far. I start off really strong. I get my pyramid started. I get it going. And then the first ice cube I go to pick up falls right underneath the pyramid. So no matter what, like I'm not going to waste my time putting all the other ice cubes up and then go to get that one and knock it all down. So I immediately have to try to get that one out with my toe, and it won't come out. It won't budge. And I end up knocking the whole thing down. So I have to start over from scratch. So I build the pyramid back up again. I'm back to the ice. David and Bambi are both like really close to finishing, from what I can hear. I was pretty sure it was the 2 of them. I can't pick up the ice. My feet will not pick up these ice cubes. They won't come off the ground at all. My feet just keep like slipping, and the ice just doesn't even come with me. So it was impossible. The way I made my ice, I guess, I don't know. David and Bambi were able to do it. I'll have to watch back to see how they did it. But clearly I couldn't do it. So I built the pyramid. You know, I got close. So I got 3rd, I think, in that challenge. So that's kind of exciting. And I have won, some money for my charity already. So there is that. I just haven't won an exemption challenge yet. So we go back to camp. There's only 1 room. So there's a room of 2, and then there's the 3 of us. There are 3 other people that are just floating around. So I immediately go and talk to David. Like I'm the first one to get to talk to him. And he proposes Danielle and and Mariana. Like, he doesn't care which one. So we kind of talked through, like, why would we vote for one over the other? I want to vote for Mariana. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to go after Danielle, because Danielle in the final four brings, she's still with me. Like, I'm potentially aligned with her. So I'm pushing Mariana, but David brings up that Danielle is a huge threat, that Mariana hasn't won any challenges. She hasn't even really come close to winning challenges. And Danielle's won a challenge already. So she's gone to Frustrated Peak. Like, she's done a couple of cool things in the game. So I'm looking at the two of them and I'm thinking, well, once again, I'm in a situation where, like, other people want to vote for someone other than Mariana. And I don't get it. I don't understand why we're not voting off the person that all of us can agree on that we're not working with. Like, vote her out. Like, it just makes sense. So I was like, David, go ahead and talk to other people. Danielle ends up talking to me and says that David told her that I pushed her name, that I said her name. And I was honest with her. I said, yeah, I said your name and Mariana's name, that, like, you're the two on the table and that I would prefer to vote for Mariana. And she's like, he said that you pushed me. And I was like, that's not true. He pushed me, or he pushed you. He pushed you. He thinks you're a threat in the game. And I don't want to vote for you. I'm not voting for you. I'm voting for Mariana. So I think through that. I'm like, here we are in the same situation, right? Where I have a conversation that I think is really solid with somebody, Olivia, and everything seems great. And then Danielle comes to me and pretty much just says that I'm coming after her. Olivia completely denies everything that her and I talk about. So I concoct the whole plan to get rid of her. Like, clearly you're not with me, so I got to take you out. That sucked, because now I'm in a situation where it's similar with David. I'm like, really? Like, I don't understand why these people will literally tell me something and then tell Danielle that I'm the one that's lying. I mean, it's great gameplay, but, like, really confusing. So I just tell Danielle, I'm like, nope, I didn't push your name. Not true. It is what it is. Bambi, I talked to Bambi. Bambi says, yep, it's 100% Danielle. I'm like, okay, so there's no way for me to, like, switch it around or move the votes anywhere. She's like, yeah, no. And I was like, okay, fine. I was like, I guess we're voting for Danielle. Nothing more I can really do about it. David and Bambi are my final three. Like, they're the people I want to see in the end. So even if they vote me out at final three, like, I'm proud to see David and Bambi sitting there. So I talked to Mariana for a hot second, and it's with Bambi. So it's Bambi, Mariana, and I basically say, hey, like, there's really only one person that we can all agree upon as a group of three. So, like, that's the person that I think, needs to go. I need to stop saving Mariana. Period. Anyway, so we go to Crossroads. I'm very much under the impression that it's going to be 4 votes for Danielle, and then Danielle's going to vote for whoever she wants to vote for. I'm hoping she votes for Mariana, because that's what I said I was going to do. So I'm playing the votes out in my head, and I'm thinking, okay, do I vote for Mariana here? Because if the 3 of them vote for Danielle and Danielle plays a compass and she votes for me, if I throw my vote on Mariana, then it's either me or Mariana. And Bambi and David have to make a decision. It's either me or Mariana. Then I'm thinking through that, and I'm like, okay, if she's got a compass and she plays it, I think her and Mariana are both voting for me. There's no way. There's no way that Danielle votes for Mariana if she's going to play the compass. She's going to want to take out a bigger threat. She's going to vote me out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And she just confronted me thinking that I'm the one that was pushing her name. She's going to vote for me. Period. End of story. So there's 2 votes potentially on me, 2 votes on Danielle. So no matter what I do, if Danielle plays the compass, I'm going home. So I have to vote for Danielle. There's no option. So I voted for Danielle. We're at, we're being asked for advantages. I kind of jokingly, admit that I have a half compass that I can't use. And then Danielle unmutes and says that she's got a compass. Of course she does. Why wouldn't she have a compass? So I'm like, good game. So she plays her compass. All votes cast against Danielle do not count. Great. So I basically pitch one more time. I go, does anybody have a half compass? Anybody? David? Bambi? Mariana? So anybody, does anybody have a half compass? Nobody speaks up. Nobody says anything. I know I'm gone. There's just no, Danielle's going to get either 3 votes or 4 votes. And her and Mariana, or she, voted for me. If Mariana voted for Danielle, then Danielle votes for Mariana and Mariana goes home. Best case scenario. But if she plays the compass, she knows something's up. And David said that I pushed her name. So I'm going. Votes come up. 1 vote for Danielle, does not count. Another vote for Danielle, does not count. Vote for Bambi. And then another vote for Bambi. Bambi goes home. Where's the 3rd vote for Danielle? David didn't vote for Danielle. David voted for Bambi. David totally swindled me. Got me. 1,000% done. He literally made me look like a total jerk because I voted for Danielle. So now I'm sitting here looking at the 3 people that voted for Bambi, and I'm the one outside the numbers. I'm the one that played this game to protect David, that worked my butt off to make sure Carl went, then Olivia went, and then Josh went to protect David. That's what I did. I wanted David and Bambi sitting next to me at the final 3 fighting it out. And he betrayed me. He voted for Bambi. He pushed Bambi. He's the one that got Danielle to play her compass because he told her that I was pushing her name. He completely played me. He played the crap out of me. And I think it might have cost him his game if I can get Danielle and Mariana to work with me and to see that he's the bigger threat. Because he put a big stake in my heart because I have worked so hard to protect both David and Bambi. And now my game, what I've done to play this game, is gone. It doesn't matter because the fact that I've been playing to save David and Bambi, and David then voted Bambi out before the end, everything that I did doesn't matter. David now has the better move. That the person that's been protecting him this whole time, he just completely slashed and backstabbed. I'm so torn with how I feel about it because the move was great. I'm really actually kind of proud that he did it. That's great. It put something on his resume. I've kind of been, I kind of called him out at Final 6. Hey, what's on your resume, dude? What have you been doing? Huh? Stupid. Because then he makes the move against me and Bambi. Great move. Whatever. I don't know what to do at this point because, the end is so close. It's so close. And I really, really, really felt that I could make it to the end if I had Bambi and David in Final 4. it was like my guaranteed shot. And David cut that down. And not only did he cut it down, not only did he take out my only other major ally, but the only other ally I have in this game left is Danielle, who now I've voted against, and she is pissed. David completely orchestrated that moment. Moment of silence for Bambi. I don't know what to do now, because I feel like I'm in a position either where I'm going next anyway, and I really have, like, I just have to win exemption. Because Mariana votes for me hands down. She's already voted for me before. Danielle's mad at me, so she'd be willing to vote for me. The best case scenario I have is that David votes with me against somebody, and then I have to compete against that person in some sort of fire making challenge, which doesn't bode well for me because I have not been doing very well in challenges. So if that would be the one to win, that would be the one to win. So I really have to win exemption. That's first and foremost. If I can win exemption, then I'll feel better about life. So that's step one. If I don't win exemption, I have to figure out how to pit David and Danielle against each other, because they're the biggest threats to win now. And potentially they're the only people that I can pit against each other. Like nobody will vote for Mariana. Nobody. I had my chance. I had it by saving Josh. And if I had saved Josh, David wins. Even if Bambi goes home, I still have Josh in my corner. But I think Josh goes home. Josh goes home. So it would be Bambi, David, and I with Danielle in the final four, and I would be sitting pretty. So had I saved Josh, it all comes back down to that moment. Had I saved Josh, I would be in a much better situation right now. I should have taken the risk, because if it turned out badly, then David or Bambi goes home anyway, and I've now lost Bambi. So, and potentially David's not really on my side. So I'm up a creek without a paddle. I'm definitely the underdog now. I feel like I've been playing an underdog game, ultimately. So, you know, I feel like I need to just step up again, make the biggest move that I can, if I can do it, and just make my way to the final two. Like I have to do it. So if I can win exemption, that would be perfect. If I can't, hopefully Mariana wins it, because then I can really, it's one of the three Janets. Like we've got to turn on each other. Danielle's probably going to turn on me. I'm probably going to turn on David. Who knows? I don't know. It's just, it's such a mess. David has made a mess of this, and it sucks because I think he cost himself the game. I think if he goes to the end with Mariana or Danielle, I think he loses. And I don't know I don't know how else to kind of put that to him, but like, I don't think he wins against either of them. I think he can win against me. I think his best shot is to get me to the end. That's all there is to it. So I've got to figure it out. I'm in a final four with somebody that I barely have talked to, and who knows I've been coming after her and yet have never voted for her. So it's just a total mess. Like, your target's been Mariana this whole time, and yet you never voted her out. Like that sucks. Like that's a sucky, story, right? So I've just got to figure out how to persuade David and Danielle that their best bet is to take me to the end. That I don't think you're going to win against Mariana, and I don't think you're going to win against each other. So I have to be the person that they choose to take to the end, because I've been playing the villainous game. I've literally backstabbed everybody for David. So that's cool. So we'll, I'm just going to kind of play it out, see how it goes. I'm really proud of my game. I feel like I've got, getting to the final four is huge. I think it's something that, not a lot of people can say that they've done, especially in a game like this where it's, it's for charity. There's higher stakes than yourself, right? You're playing for another group, you're playing for another entity. And so, the stakes are just slightly higher for some people. And I think that what is exciting about this is that, there's an extra piece to the game that, and Josh kind of says it as he leaves, I'm going to potentially vote for the person who can tell me why they're fighting for their charity. Like, why did they make such crazy, ridiculous decisions in this game for the charity that they're playing for? So, that's another entity, right? There's outwit, outplay, outlast, and out charity. So, I'm really excited to hopefully get to the end. I'm excited to be like, this feels like finale, right? The final four. I feel like I've played the best game that I can play. I got here somehow by merit and by strategy. So I do feel like I deserve to be here. I just have to figure out how to persuade the other three that I'm the least deserving of the four of us, but yet have an ability to explain at the end why I deserve to win. Because I think I do. I just have to, say it right. But I've had a blast in this game. I really feel bad for Bambi. I think she was kind of a terrible, terrible decision, to be honest. I think that Bambi, would have probably, been swayed in different directions, based on different things. So, taking her out, I think, was silly. But it also shows that, David does want to play with me. He doesn't want to vote me out. So, he could have easily gotten the vote placed on me over Bambi. So the fact that he chose to vote off Bambi over me does say something. So, the only dilemma that I'm having is that, Danielle is probably not really very happy with me. She's not at all happy with me. So, but I'll figure it out. I feel like I'm repeating myself now, so I'm going to go, but, super stressful 2 rounds in one day. But I'm excited to kind of see how this all ends and this all kind of plays out. And I think I'm going to have lots of splaining to do, regardless of what happens to me, whether I get to the end or whether I get voted out. So I've got a lot of people that I'm going to have to, confront or be confronted by. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, we'll see how Sunday ends up playing out.